Welcome back, everyone. In this video, I am going to show you 3 checkmating patterns that are very common. They're going to show up in your games, they're going to show up in puzzles, but they're very unusual. The way that the pieces have to coordinate to deliver checkmate is beautiful, it's unique. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you one checkmating pattern, then I'm going to give you an example. You have to find the mate based on that pattern we just saw. Let's get started. Let's jump into the first one. The first checkmating pattern I have for you is called Anastasia's Mate. That is a beautiful name, but you know what? It fits because this is a beautiful checkmate. So the way that it works is we have our knight 2 squares away from the king. So this king is totally trapped on the A file because our knight controls B8 and B6. The only other piece we need to deliver this mate is either the rook or the queen to deliver check on the open file. So in this position, we would play rook A2. This would be checkmate because the rook attacks this open file, delivers check, and the knight covers both of the escape squares here, fully traps the king in. Additionally, this could happen if, imagine the king were on b8, we had our knight on b5, and imagine this bishop weren't here, we would play rook g8. That would be checkmate as well. So it can happen when the king is trapped on an open file or on an open rank as well. Doesn't matter, so long as we have the knight trapping it and we have a rook or a queen to deliver that check. That's how we can get this mate. So let's jump into our example here. So for this example, we have the black pieces here, and you're going to use the checkmating pattern that you've just learned and try to find the mate here. We have mate in 3, so pause the video and try to find it. Hopefully you're able to find it. It probably was not as obvious as you wanted it to be, but the move is queen takes h3 check. If the king drops back to g1, then we would play queen g2 checkmate. Separately, if the king is to take this queen, then now we have Anastasia's mate. We would play rook h6 check. We have the knight that covers both of the escape squares, and we have the rook that delivers check on the open file. The only thing white can do is block for one turn. Then we take, again, we have this check. Now nothing can block, the king can't move, and this would be checkmate. So this is a beautiful example of it. It does happen relatively frequently where you can sacrifice your queen and then slide the rook over and deliver checkmate. So this is a very beautiful mate. The second checkmating pattern I'm going to show you today is called Damiano's Mate. Damiano sounds Italian, so you know me, I'm happy. The way this checkmate works is, again, we have the king totally stuck on the back rank, totally stuck on an open file potentially as well. The way we have that is we have a pawn on g6 here, and it totally cuts off the king. We're covering f7, we're covering h7, and the way that we deliver this checkmate is that we give a check with the queen right on h7, protected by the pawn. So we need this pawn here that traps the king on the back rank, and then we're going to deliver check with our queen. The queen is defended by the pawn, and this is going to be checkmate. So the example I have here for you is, again, we have the black pieces. This is actually mate in 5 moves, so pause the video, try to find the right move now. This was another mate that was not super easy. I hope you got the memo in the last example that you're going to need to sacrifice some pieces to get this mate here. So the way that we do it for this one is we play rook h1 check. The king has no moves besides taking the rook. Now we're going to check with our other rook on h8. The king has to drop back, and we're going to sacrifice our second rook here. The king is forced to take, and now we can finally play queen h8 check, and after the king moves back to g1, we're going to play queen h2 checkmate. We've got our pawn here on g3, cuts off the king, covers the h2 and the f2 square, and the mate is delivered with the queen on h2. This is another very beautiful mate with some very nice piece coordination, and also goes to show you a very simple attacking idea that you want to push your pawns to attack your opponent's king. If you can trade off the pawns, you open up files, and even if you can't, you get your pawn here on g3, and you can totally cut off the king and lead into some mates. The third and final checkmating pattern I'm going to show you today is called Max Lange's Mate. This is a very cool one because it combines both the bishop and the queen and really shows the power that they have when they work together to control a certain color complex. So in this position, we have the white pieces. You can see that the queen is completely cutting off the king. And the way that we deliver this checkmate is we go bishop b8 check. Now the king only has 1 square, so the king has to go to a8. And now we immediately drop our bishop back. So the king, again, only has 1 square, has to go to a7, and now we can deliver the mate with queen b8. We have the bishop that covers the b8 and the b6 square, and we bring the queen over to deliver checkmate. This is a very cool one because you kind of throw the bishop forward and then you bring it back immediately. So this is a very cool mate. The example, we have the black pieces again, and this is mate in 5. There are 2 checks. One leads to mate in 5, and the other leads to a draw. So find the right one. Did you find the mate in 5? I hope you picked the right move. If you played queen e1 check, then you just led to a draw. I mean, you have brought shame upon your whole family. You should feel gross. White has 2 moves here. If white blocks with the queen, then we would deliver checkmate on h4, but white is instead going to play king h2. Now, if we play queen h4 check, white is going to play queen h3 blocking, and now we just have no checks that white can't block. This is a draw. So the correct move is actually queen h4 check. White has only one move. White has to play queen h3 to block, and now we play queen e1 check. The king only has one move, so the king has to go to h2, and now we go for Max Lange's mate. We play bishop g1 check. The king has to go to h1, and we immediately drop the bishop back to f2. After the king moves, we deliver checkmate on g1 with the queen. The bishop covers both of these squares, and we deliver mate on g1 with the queen here. This is such a cool mate. I hope that this video gave you a good sense of what these checkmates look like, and that the examples also gave you a good practical sense of how the checkmating patterns can manifest themselves in real games. If you want to find more examples, just look them up. Look up Anastasia's mate, Damiano's mate, and Max Lange's mate. There are going to be tons of examples online. Also, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and also let me know in the comments. There are tons of other mating patterns that I could show, and I'd be more than happy to do another video just like this with 3 different mating patterns if I know that you guys like it. In the meantime, why don't you check out that video over there? He's looking at you, isn't he? Yeah, he's looking at you. Go ahead, click it. Click it.